I'm gonna click record. Um, I will keep time as well, but I would encourage each of y'all to as well, on your end as well. All right, well, welcome to the debate. Thank you for coming, our singular visitor. I hope you enjoy our debate today. We've got some great teams here today. So without further ado, we're going to start our first speaker. Time ready. Ready?
And we will be discussing the topic is social media more harmful. You will hear an argument from the negative side, but be mindful we're not stating that there are only bad outcomes of social media. We're also stating that there's dangers, exposure, and the impact of your well-being as a user causes more harm than we as a society should not be ignored. The framework for this debate is overall safety. For the users of social media, since the start of social media, it has been used as a tool, but throughout time, it has been mistreated as a tool and has caused more harm. According to the Merriam-Webster, the definition of social media is websites and applications that enable users to create and share content or to participate in social networking. We'll be going over our three main arguments. Our first argument being that social media can be harmful to mental health and physical health. The use of social media has increased dramatically for the teens and young adults in the main user. Additionally, mental health issues are now a significant public health concern. Nearly 1 in 5 American adults suffer from a mental disease and mental health issues. And mental health issues have begun to affect young people, according to the National Institute of Mental Health. To some, the growing mental health issue is partly caused by the extensive use of social networking sites. To a comprehensive view, social networking sites lead to a higher risk of psychological distress, anxiety, and depression. One of the reasons for the rise in adolescent depression and suicide has been proposed to be the new media screening activity. Because it exposes users to dangerous content, such as cyberbullying and unrealistic portrayals of others, it raises safety issues about mental health and causes feelings of worry and sadness. Constantly comparing oneself to others on social media can worsen pre-existing mental health conditions and encourage dangerous habits, like disordered eating or self-harm. According to the Nation Library of Medicine, the average 18-year-old now, shockingly, consumes over 6,000 videos of violence each year. The high number is partly due to the media's exploitation of negative bias. Social media has allowed people to share videos globally with just a click of a button. The issue is that algorithms on these apps are designed to addict viewers and recommend violent topics to attract attention. The rise of online misinformation also poses a threat. Misinformation content can be purposely exaggerated, using clickbait headlines or out of context details to make a story harder to look away from. With the shift to social media from former broadcasts, these dynamics have intensified. Since news is more widely shared on social media, people are sharing their opinions excessively. And a greater portion of what we see online is false information. Sometimes just inaccurate facts. Fake news can spread up to 10 times quicker on social media than authentically reporting, according to MIT research.
Do you think that social media can be a tool to help increase self-esteem for those people? Like everything is not just always negative, but it can always just be used as a tool of encouragement. Do you think that's possible through social media?
It can be possible, yes, but it can be possible, but we're listing the negative outcomes of it and not just consuming like things are positive. Negative hurts people, and there's just a lot of negative impacts on social media, and it continues. Like I said, fake news can spread up to 10 times quicker on social media than authentic reporting, according to MIT research. Like I said, 10 times quicker. Including with AI-powered technology can manipulate audio, video, and images to create deep, fake, highly convinced videos where people appear to say or do things they never did. These can be used to spread false statements, impersonate public figures, or create posts that mislead the public.
All right, time. Moving forward, would it be helpful if I gave an indication of when the final minute?
Yes, please.
Okay, I can do that. I would do that with my students, but I didn't, you know. So the computers will be, I'll let you know once we've been 4 minutes before, and then final minute is. That's right. I don't think I can hear you. I think you have to hold it right up against your mouth, unfortunately.
Hello, I am Brendan, and today I will be refuting the resolution resolved. On balance, social media has done more good than harm. Today, the dissenting team will prove that social media is an effective tool for fostering global connectivity, enhancing educational opportunities, and facilitating business innovation. The framework for today's debate is communication. Since the creation of the World Wide Web, which was originally conceived and developed to meet the demand for automated information sharing for scientists around the world, creating reliable communication. Communication and connection has become more readily available to the masses. My first contention is global connectivity and communication. One of the most significant benefits of social media is the ability to connect people across the globe. Some of these people may be very important, like scientists coming up with cures and diseases.
Yeah. So one thing to note here is that the start of social media was in 1997. Prior to that, people still communicated, people still had resources, education was still progressing. And I mean, if you look at the rates now, we can see that education was still phenomenal before social media. So just want to put that claim out there.
True. I will continue. It is very important that you look at the individual scale. Social media has also made it easier for people to meet with new individuals and share interests and goals, fostering communities and facilitating cross-cultural exchange. And on a personal level, social media has helped me connect with fellow members of the LGBTQ+ community when other opportunities felt exhausted. When natural disasters and political unrest occur, social media plays a critical role in dismembering information rapidly. For instance, during the 2011 Arab Spring, social media was instrumental in organizing protests and spreading information in countries with restrictive media environments. My second contingent is educational opportunities and information sharing. Social media is a tool that has revolutionized how we access and share knowledge. Educational content is commonly available on platforms. Many educational organizations and institutions now use social media to promote learning, share resources, and interact with students globally. For example, universities like UNT hold online forums, host lectures, and host webinars, giving students access to valuable academic content that might not have been available to them otherwise. Furthermore, social media allows for peer-to-peer learning and networking. Online groups, forums, and discussion threads enable people to share insights, ideas, and experiences. My third contention is economic innovation and business development. Social media platforms are essential for businesses in current times to reach global audiences. Entrepreneurs can use platforms to advertise, promote products, and engage with customers. These platforms provide small businesses and startups with affordable and high effective marketing tools, opportunities with low advertising budgets. Social media has also created new industries such as influencer marketing, content creation, and social media management, providing jobs and revenue opportunities for millions. In conclusion, on balance, social media has done more good than harm by facilitating global connectivity, enhancing education, and driving economic innovation. The opposing team would like you to believe that the opposing team would like you to believe that social media has both has a has a leading factor in predicting eating disorders and occurring eating disorders. But according to empirical research, the most important predictor of an eating disorder is your peers.
Right, thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Museum, and I want to talk about some of the things that you said in your arguments. Long before the rise of social media, people were still able to connect and engage with others through direct personal interactions and traditional forms of communication. Yes, communities can benefit from social media, but communities have always found ways to interact and build relationships. For instance, just here at UNT, flyers are posted all around campus to help facilities connect and bring people together. Another point is that social media does not contribute positively to education, as many schools lack the necessary funding to provide students with access to computer and digital resources. I want to talk about mental health and the impact that social media has. In today's world, our phones are very important. They are often the first thing we look at before we go to sleep. And for most people, the first thing they pick up right when they wake up. First Instagram, then Snapchat, then Twitter, then Facebook. Viewing a phone screen before bed or in bed is likely to disrupt your sleep because you are putting a source of light directly to your face, which sends a signal to your brain that it's daytime. Cyberbullying is a problem for 40% of Americans. Students are almost twice as likely to attempt suicide if they have been cyberbullied. It is a way for people to harass and bully others, easily because they won't face immediate consequences. The National Center for Biotechnology Information says cyberbullying is a problem for 40% of Americans. Students are almost twice as likely to attempt suicide if they have been cyberbullied. It is a way for people to harass and bully others. Additionally, depression can lead to self-harm and suicide thoughts. Nate Gorstein was a 15-year-old boy who attended one of the top private schools in Chicago. His classmates aggressively cyberbullied him, ultimately leading him to commit suicide. Research from the American Academy of Pediatrics estimates that nearly 1 in 5 teens have considered suicide due to online bullying, and nearly 10% have attempted suicide as a result of cyberbullying. Just taking 1 week off of social media has been shown to reduce anxiety and depression. We believe that a lot of kids would still be alive today if social media wasn't a thing. Social media is a lie. No one broadcasts their failures and broadcasts their challenges, and no one ever uploads their weaknesses. You only see the good. Adding on, body image. The use of social media has a huge contribution to having eating disorders. It shapes perceptions of body images in people's minds that leads individuals, no thank you, to resort in dangerous diets and even starve themselves to make their bodies look the way they want. Ashley Thompson of Queensland, Australia, for example, was just 13 years old when she was diagnosed with an eating disorder due to the effect social media had on her life. Filters and edited photos are commonly posted on social media platforms, and when people see those, it creates unrealistic standards of beauty that are nearly impossible to achieve. Comments, likes, and followers are idolized so much in today's world that when people that they care too much about their appearance. This contributes to depression, self-doubt, and body image issues. Celebrities that are well known, including Madison Bear, Kevin Gates, and Selena Gomez, encourage people to get off social media. Selena Gomez says, quote, "Believe it or not, everything in this tiny device doesn't define you, doesn't make you human. It's simply a device, and when you put it down, it helps you become part of the world again." The Victoria's Secret fashion show was one of the most popular runway events, but the lack of diversity and its role and contribution to body image issues led to its closure for a few years. People opened up social media to look at the skinny models and how many likes and praises they were receiving, which caused many young girls to develop eating disorders.
Mental health concerns are overstood. So while there is evidence suggesting a correlation between media uses and mental health issues, correlation does not imply constitution. Media platforms, especially social media, offers support networks, mental health resources, and communities that help people, particularly those suffering from mental illnesses, find connections and shared experiences. Many mental health organizations use media to spread awareness, reduce stigma, and provide important resources to those who are in need. Additionally, it is more likely that underlying issues such as isolation, poor mental health care, and personal struggles are contributing factors, not the media itself. Violence in the media does not lead to real-world violence. Numerous studies have shown that the link between violent media and violent behavior is weak. No, thank you. And is consistent. Media has always portrayed violence, whether in an ancient theater, literature, or modern film. So we can't say, no, thank you. So we can't say that it has just started in 1979, the date that you guys have started, but has always been here. But this has led to a real world violence. People who consume violent media are genuinely able to differentiate, no thank you, between fiction and reality. Furthermore, social factors like access to weapons, family dynamics, economic conditions, and education plays a much larger role in influencing violent behavior, rather than media exposure alone. Misinformation is a platform, but media can be. Yes,
What are those studies?
what are those? What?
You mentioned a study that does not, dismantles the correlation between the two. What is that study?
So it has been approved that mental health people or mental facilities researchers have gone into these people and done studies, like they have asked a bunch of people, random people on the street who also do go through mental health themselves. And people who say these things do not bring up media, but the people around them, their environments, like yeah, their environment that's around them, because it's not media that helps that, but the environment that you grew up in. Misinformation is a problem, but media, no, thank you. Media can be a tool for combating it. Misinformation is a worldwide spread problem, but media platforms, especially respectable news outlets, are actively addressing it. Though fact checking, investigative journalism and awareness campaigns, yes.
Why do you think fact checking is good?
Because fact checking is to me, because
Because there's a lot of false narratives. That's why false checkers think that.
Very quickly on social media, traditional media outlets play a crucial role in providing verified, accurate information. Media literacy education has also become a key focus, teaching people that critically evaluate sources and discern credible information. It's not the medium that is harmful, but the misuse of it that creates problems. Empowering individuals to be critical consumers of media is a effective solution. Media does not appropriate unrealistic beauty standards. Hold on. While some forms of media appropriate unrealistic beauty standards, many media outlets, especially in the recent years, have made concentrated efforts to showcase diverse body types and backgrounds and experiences. So the rise of the body positivity campaigns, inclusive fashion brands, and diverse representation advising and films have concentrated many of these harmful beauty ideas and standards and traditionally promoted them. Media is not inherently harmful for promoting these beauty standards, but instead it is evolving to reflect the broader, more inclusive range of identities, showing you what's real and what's not. Media creates echo chambers, but it also promotes diverse voices. The argument that social media leads to echo chambers and polarization is valid to some extent, but social media also provides a platform and a marginalization voice. Social justice movements and individuals to connect globally. Movements like the Me Too, Black Lives Matter, and environmental activism.
Thank you.
Start by going over the study that was not mentioned in the previous speech. A study that I will mention is from the National Institute of Health that does connect media violence to aggressiveness. Specifically, if you look for 1-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 15-year-olds, what is something that your parents always told you not to watch? They didn't tell you to watch it because it was violent. Another thing I would like to connect is how media presents an idea that we can use whatever is online and just use it for whatever benefit we want. For example, if we look at the rise of murder movies, for example, the Dahmer movie, the victims begged director to not produce the movie because it was traumatizing to them, but they did it anyways. So that is another example of how harmful it is. And I agree, it is the misuse of it, but that's not the topic of the debate. The topic of the debate is the harm is outweighing the good. So back to the connection of desensitization and violence within social media. Being online gives us so much access to things that we as human beings are not always prepared to see. And because of the algorithms, which the definition of an algorithm is, it analyzes user behavior and preferences to prioritize content that's most relevant, engaging, and timely. The more engagement by likes or comments or shares, the more likely you're going to see it on your feed. This can lead to platforms elevating posts that contain misinformation, which I will get to. It also highlights hateful and extreme content. The severity of the event we see in the media does not change, yet our response to them slowly dulls, with each extreme event becoming relevant to another. A study conducted by the National Institute of Health links this, the desensitization and social media. It notes the more individuals habitually use media and view violent content, the less psychological reactivity they show to a violent film presented to them. An example of this is Logan Paul. On December 31st of 2017, Paul uploaded a video onto YouTube where he walks through Japan's forest, also known as suicide forest. In the video, Paul and his production staff come across the dead body of a person who committed suicide. Paul proceeds to laugh, make jokes about the victim while his team films it. The video was uploaded, received millions of views, and these guidelines everyone loves to bring up about the safety of social media were not present. In fact, according to BBC, it took YouTube 10 days to respond to the controversy. And it wasn't even YouTube that took it down, it was Logan Paul himself. And this is just one example of a post that is mentioned in the study. It's creating desensitization within us as a society. And desensitization dulls human emotion, and human emotion is a part of us. Media not only desensitizes us to negativity, but also instills a sense of hopelessness and encourages the notion that other suffering is a lost cause. Since desensitization leads us users to feel less empathetic towards others. The reality of social media is that anyone can access it, anyone can post on it, and are there guidelines? In theory, yes. We love to talk about them, we love to bring them up. Obviously, they're not relevant because, as you see, YouTube didn't even take it down, it was Logan Paul himself. And what is one piece of advice that we all get told, and that we've all heard, is that what's posted online is there forever and can always be found no matter if the platform takes it down itself. Another thing I would like to bring up here is the addictive algorithms. As mentioned in the desensitization portion of this case, the addictive algorithms, which the definition is it analyzes user behavior. It's a harmful side effect of social media. Yes.
So would you say that this falls on social responsibility more than it does the actual tool that is social media?
Can you repeat your question, please?
Yeah. So social media as a tool is used in different ways, good or bad, and it actually falls on the person's social responsibility to either have a role in that via like a parent guiding their children away, or a responsible adult guiding their attention away from it as well.
I don't think it's a fair claim to put it on the parent because not every user has two parents or an active parent in their life. I do agree that that can help. However, it's not fair to assume that everyone has a responsible parent, an educated parent. I think as a society, we are growing to grow with social media as we learn that it is harmful, but it's not fair on the parent because not everyone has that opportunity or that resource. We can go back and looking at Stanford University, a psychologist's perspective on social media. They noted that rewarding users with the stimuli keeps them engaged. So when they get a like, it's the same dopamine pathways as a motivation or reward, and it's the same, airways of addiction. What keeps us hooked on social media isn't the pleasure of a like, it's the intent absence of a like that keeps us engaged. So when you wake up, I bet everyone in here at least checks their phone in some way, whether it be social media or emails. It's just an addictive pattern that we have, and it's trapping us into an endless loop that can lead to social comparisons and the spread of misinformation. When presented,
All right, thank you.
My name is Luke. I want to tackle the first issue that y'all brought up about social media getting mistreated as a tool. social media is just a tool. The people using it are the problem, not social media itself. I would also argue about the point of misinformation. Misinformation is present everywhere, not just social media. And if anything, social media gives regular people like you and I to keep news outlets more accountable, since they're able to raise their voices against misinformation. And I would also say social media gives the opportunity for us to connect with our local governments a little bit more in times of disasters or emergencies. I'll give a personal example that can be applicable to all of us. On Halloween, the 911 line was down, and I only found out about that because Denton City posted it on X, and that's how I knew. And I'm pretty sure that's how a lot of people found out too, in case they had an emergency. I would also like to,
POI.
go ahead.
According to Forbes, a study conducted earlier this month by BBC Education found that nearly half of young people aged between 11 and 16 tend to believe the news they see on social media, regardless of the source.
Then I would say that responsibility falls on the parents, just like Brendan said earlier. That is,
You know why? Not everyone has parents. I feel like that's a very
But-
involved.
but a lot of people do have role models, like their teachers.
But a lot of people also don't have the privilege to have those role models. And they don't have those people that guide them. So that's not really a good argument to make. You have to think about everyone.
But also, what percentage of those people are on social media? The topic is on balance. Social media creates more harm than good, and we believe that it creates more good than harm.
POI. Congress passed a bill, it's KOSA, the Kids Online Safety Act, 1409 back in July. It was deemed chaotic and not, constitutional because there were a lot of issues with it. So they are working on that. I would like to say they are working on that. However, it's not as effective as you may think.
For
Kids Online Safety Act.
well, what does that bill do?
It basically, it keeps these states responsible for those. However, how can we say that a kid who is online is actually from that state, whereas they could lie about their address? There's no verification, and that does fall on the user. However, we're not arguing, is it the user's fault? We are arguing the harm and the good.
Yeah, but I think it's important to bring up the users also, because the users are the ones behind social media that are misusing it as a tool. And I wouldn't say that social media is the one that's doing the inherent harm, but it's the users that are behind it that are the issue. I would also like to bring up the issue of bullying. Bullying has been around way before social media was a thing. And
POI.
go ahead.
The definition of social media is websites and applications that enable users. Users are social media, so therefore, users are doing the harm, and that is social media.
I'd also like to touch on the topic of social media algorithm. The social media algorithm shows you what you like to see. If you keep watching something, then obviously social media is going to give you more of that topic. It's not there just to spread you misinformation and these violent videos. Yeah. I would also argue that on top of those, I'd like to refute your claim of social media being an outlet for violent videos and misinformation. I would also like to say that it gives an outlet for people to post things that are creative and things that they're proud of. And gives them a voice to.
Thank you very much. As as a reminder, in these last two speeches, there are no more POIs. There are last two speeches here, so.
But we didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's within the final speeches,
Oh,
no
okay.
POI, yeah. So it's
Okay,
just the
so
first
this
three.
one and the next one.
Yep, so no more POI at all.
Social media can help us with that. iPhones and phones in general, they give us warnings when there's emergency, such as Amber alerts or, weather alerts or stuff like that. But going on, I want to touch more on, fake media and the spread of misinformation. Social media allows users to search, Google, and read practically any subject in the world. However, is any of that true? How can users distinguish what is fact, opinion, or just complete nonsense? According to the WEF, digital information has become so pervasive in online social media that it has been listed as one of the main threats to human society. In fact, today more than 8 in 10 Americans get their news on digital devices, beating out TV, radio, or print. Among 18 to 29-year-olds, social media is the most common news source. They aren't the only ones turning to platforms for information. 50% of Americans get at least some of their news from social media, with social media being one of the main sources for people. It means that whatever information is out there is what people are learning and believing. One example that I can use is now that Elon Musk is ahead of Twitter, which is now X. Now anyone can use a verification mark. Before we would lean to those news sources or those celebrities with those verification marks, and we would go to them for media. But now anyone can have that. So it leads to false media and really harm, even more harm. Another thing that I would like to bring up is AI can also lead to misinformation. Concerns about misinformation among AI have been worrying. AI has played a big part in that issue and has been a source that individuals have been relying on. AI has facilitated the spread of misinformation and disinformation across social media platforms. The algorithms. With AI becoming popular, misinformation will continue to be shared through social networks and AI-generated and other false influence online content. It looks very much like quality content. AI can be extremely harmful, especially because in the U.S., under the Communications Decency Act, Section 230, social media sites that host political disinformation are legally immune from responsibility. For example, misinformation about vaccines has skyrocketed, and the use of AI has only made this easier. If someone searches for misinformation about anything such as vaccines, there's around a 78% chance of finding misinformation on that issue. Another example would be about climate change. AI makes misinformation about climate change easier and cheaper, which in turn reaches a wider audience and diminishes trust in public institutions. According to UN Under-Secretary General for Global Communications, Melissa Fleming, shares that generative AI is also being used to silence and humiliate women and girls. Online misogyny, including death threats, rape threats, and humiliated doctor photos, is increasingly being used as a weakness to shut down critics, such as leaders, politicians, journalists, and other women. Fleming also cited a 2022 UNESCO survey of female journalists, and shows that 73% experience online violence. In conclusion, there is evident danger, exposures, and impacts to one's well-being when it comes to social media. We've discussed the effects to the user's mental and physical health, how it helps pushing users towards desensitization, and how addictive algorithms are spreading false news. With the advancements of AI, the harm will only grow. It can be challenging to determine whether the earth is better or without social media. But our point here is that social media has caused more harm to individuals, and there must be limits and consequences to ensure the safety of users for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to first bring everyone's attention to the alerts plan that you dropped, about the national disasters and stuff like that. It is important to look at, those and not to just ignore them as the ability to have that connection between groups, for example, like when the 911 thing was addressed and X gave notice to all representatives and gave them a new number to call by. It helped the community of Denton know what they should do in response to a emergency. Or like the group that I addressed in 2011 Arab Spring, the social media was an instrumental in organizing the protest and spreading information to the countries with the restrictive media environments. And it's also important to look at the group that y'all are addressing in y'all's topic. Y'all are addressing mostly adolescents and young adults. This is a very like marginalized group out of the masses. We're talking about, in our paper, we would like to state that we are talking about everyone, all ages. It's important to look at the big scale on this because this is the involvement of adults that do actually look at their news networks and what the news networks are saying in comparative studies with other news networks, so that they're more likely to aid maybe even their children at finding these. If the children are without the parents, like y'all have addressed, or a guardian that is responsible, it's, as we said before, it's up to maybe another representative in their life, like a teacher or a counselor. And that's why we wanted to lean more into this idea of the social media becoming a social responsibility that falls on the individual and the individual's guardians and their surroundings. It is a tool, and y'all have suggested that it is bad, and we have suggested many points that it was good. Some of our points that it was good include the global community, that connectivity between person to person, group to group, and then jobs and enhancing education. On our side, we said that education is furthered through the means. Because yes, I'm waking up every morning to look at my phone and the weather and these other things that are in social media. I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, wow, yeah, there's a new post. But I'm also looking at Canvas in the morning. Every morning I'm looking at Canvas to see what I have to do today and what grades I have and all those important key features that play into my everyday life and many others. And then one of my biggest final statements that was addressed was the economic innovation that it provides. Well, not only is it creating jobs for, well, anyone who uses the social media as a platform, like, for example, the influencer marketing, content creation and social media management. It also drives this, one of the bigger markets we have. Well, actually, like, influencer marketing is important because it shows these more structured people for those situations, like I stated before, about personal, not willing to have a personal, like, personal responsibility of, because you lack a parent or guardian. It
Stop the recording and then we can take it on the back.